guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about our labor and delivery.
Start off by saying when she was admitted. She was admitted on a Sunday. What day was it?
I had him on the 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th.
So it was
5th or 6th.
Sunday, October 6th of 2018. That was the day that we live in Pittsburgh currently. And we had to drive down to San Francisco for her. That's where her hospital was.
So it's a bit of a drive.
So it was a bit of a drive. Good thing that her water didn't break until we were there. And
well, it didn't rupture.
Yeah.
Until we were there. It didn't completely break, but we'll get into that.
So it didn't rupture until we were there. It was like 5 minutes after we got there, and she was already in the room. And it was like, I couldn't really smell it. I guess they say that the water,
it's supposed to have like a sweet, musty, pungent type smell. But when it ruptured, it didn't smell like anything.
Yeah. But
like water, you know, like it had no smell, it just looked like water. Until it started really breaking. Then it kind of had a weird, sweat, or I don't know, I can't describe the smell, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so they had her in the room, like the wait, kind of like a, what would you say that one was?
It was a labor and delivery room. It wasn't really, not the maternity ward, but it was the delivery room. It was a delivery room.
So no, it was like it's the rooms where they check you.
Oh, so first they put me in a check-in room, and from there, after my water had ruptured, they then transferred and admitted me into a delivery room. Yeah,
that's what happened. So, the check-in room was a lot smaller than the delivery room. In that delivery room, we had it was nice. Oh shit! It was nice. It was spacious. We had a big TV. She had a
room service.
Room service, and then a big jet tub. And
but what I recommend is, if you're about to go into labor, get food first, because we didn't know that, and we had bought a whole meal, and then I was feeling contractions, so we went to the hospital, not expecting to come back home, so we technically didn't even get to eat much. So get food before going to the hospital, because guaranteed your cafeteria to the hospital will be closed. You will be hungry.
Yeah, if you
get there at night.
Yeah, if you get there at night, I would recommend getting food before you get there. But if you're contracting,
go straight to the hospital and have somebody bring you food or something.
Yeah, so they placed her in that delivery room, and then we had her sister come over and be there with us,
which was a big help. If you guys are considering to just be alone, that's one option, but I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend at least one support person, whether that be a midwife, a doula, family member, friend, whoever you trust completely, to be there. And it's also good because you get to get pictures without having to hire a professional photographer. So it was good. It was good support, because my sister has her own kids, so she was able to walk me through it and help me a lot. So it was good.
Yeah, so she was there. Anyway, going back to her experience, I would say they started giving you the thing to speed up the process. Oh,
so they had given me Pitocin, I would say around 12 or 1 p.m. the next day, which was Monday, right?
Yeah. So before that, she wasn't really dilating. She was
I was only half a centimeter to a centimeter throughout the whole night, and I had been laboring for about 14 to 15 hours before they decided to start the Pitocin.
Yeah. So after they gave her the Pitocin, and she went up to 4.
Yeah, but it took me about another 15 hours to dilate up to a 4. So then and there is when me and him kind of decided, this is not going to be the birth that I wanted, which was all natural. So from that moment, we just kind of had a game plan in our head of like what could and couldn't happen.
Yeah, so, but after that, they kept upping the doses.
Oh my god.
Why?
Because they were only supposedly my doctor said to only up the dose by 1 or by 2, and they were tripling my amount. So I was literally going from like 0 pain to like a 5 to like all the way a 20. It was like really bad pain, but I got through it, and I was able to get through it for 24 hours without any type of medicine, which was more than I expected, because I knew that I would want the medicine, especially the epidural, but I just didn't expect myself to make it that far before receiving it.
Yeah, so after she went up to 6, and then after that it was 8. No, I think you were stuck at 6 or 8.
I was stuck at 6 overnight, and I was in severe pain, so I decided to take a bath with the jets, and I even used like that little, I'm not sure what that bouncy ball is called, the one that you sit on. I did that. We went for a walk around the hospital, and nothing was really helping, so I finally just gave in and got the epidural, and let me tell you, it was the best decision I could have gotten throughout my whole labor, because I was really tired and exhausted for laboring for 2 days straight, and I just needed some sleep.
Yeah, so after that, she was able to sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. So I probably, throughout those 3 days, I probably slept like 2 hours total.
And then when the baby came,
no, that's another story.
It was worse.
Yeah, so after that, it was already Tuesday in the afternoon, or Tuesday morning, and they were predicting that she was gonna have the baby that day. But that
false hope.
Yeah, so they thought that she was since she was starting to dilate every 2 hours,
2 to 3 hours,
2 to 3 hours, then they expected her to have the baby naturally. They expected her to have the baby naturally, and that she was gonna keep dilating, but we kept waiting. It hit 12, and then nothing was happening. She didn't pass 6 or 8.
I didn't pass 9 centimeters.
8.
No. Well, that day, yeah, I didn't pass 8. And then the next day, I started dilating, and I didn't get until 9 centimeters.
So, yeah, on Tuesday it was 9 centimeters, and then after that, they kept checking her to see if she was dilating, and she wasn't. And it was like way too many doctors checking her, which is why she got an infection. And I was kind of getting mad at the doctors, because they know, I mean, they're the experts, and they kept telling their colleagues to keep checking her cervix. Basically,
they wanted reassurance, and they were like, oh, she's this far dilated with this much, and I forgot, I don't remember what it's called. Basically, they were checking, and it would be one after another, and at this point, I was 3rd day into labor, so I was like completely drugged up. I didn't really know what was going on, and when things were happening, I really didn't feel good. Like, I was already throwing up, and I had a fever due to the infection. So they just kept checking me one after another. Like, they were literally standing like in a line, and they're like, okay, I got this and this, can you double check to see if you got the same amount? So it was like about 4 to 5 doctors in a room, which could be really intimidating. And like, I just see like a whole lot of blood on their gloves, so like, I'm too drugged up to understand and freak out, but this one is like really queasy with blood, so it was traumatizing, I would say.
Yeah. So after they kept checking her, I was getting mad, because they didn't tell it. They weren't telling us what was going on until I asked them, and they said that his head was kind of like,
he was breech.
Yeah, so his head was sideways, and he probably wasn't gonna come out naturally. But what they could have done, what they could do is stick their hand in there and flip him, or what's it like? Yeah.
So what they do is they do an ultrasound, and then they see where the baby is, and from there they grab their hands, and like they I think it's called a version or something, and they flip the baby from your outer tummy. But one, that could be dangerous to the baby and to yourself, because it could cause internal and external bleeding. It could cause extra contractions that don't need to happen, and it can cause fetal distress. So I did not want that. Again, I was too drugged up to understand what was going on, and this doctor proceeded to try to do it without my permission, but good thing I had him right next to me, and he was able to be like, no, like, she does not want that, just give her the C-section. And they didn't seem to listen to us, because he was the one that was really saying, like, get the C-section, get the C-section, but that's what I had wanted from the start. Like, I had told myself, if anything, like, just that's part of the plan, and they kind of weren't really listening to us.
So I felt like I was sitting there arguing with them, even though it's my wife and it's our decision.
Our baby.
It's our baby, but they wanted to do their own thing. So since it was coming from my mouth and it's her body, obviously, so they needed to hear it from her. So I was kind of telling her, like, just tell them, but she didn't really understand what was going on. So they kind of like stepped out of the room to talk about it. So I told her, like, you know, it's not going to be naturally. I know you want it this way, but it's not going to happen. So just please tell them to give you the C-section, because I don't want you to go through more, because even though they were trying to do that other thing, they told us that they don't know if it was even going to help.
Yeah.
So it was just going to prolong the process, and we were already there for 3 days. So obviously we didn't want to be there for any longer, so I just told her, tell them to give you the C-section.
Not only that, I think they're only supposed to let you labor for 2 days straight before deciding, like, to get an emergency C-section, and that was not my option. They just kept letting me be in pain and getting a fever and getting infections, and honestly, I don't feel like they really cared, except for one of the nurses that I had. She was the only one that was listening to me. And that was just the decision that we had agreed on, because like I said, laboring for 72 hours, it's not good, especially not only for me but for the baby. So
yeah. So once they talked and then decided, like, yeah, they listened to us and gave her the C-section. It was already about 6 p.m. Right. So they started prepping for C-section at like around 6, and she had the baby at 7:19 p.m. on October 9th.
So if C-section is an option, I will tell you it's not scary. I have severe anxiety, and I was scared because I felt like I couldn't breathe, even though my oxygen was at 100%. You will feel like you cannot move, but you're completely fine. There's nothing to be scared about unless you have any particular, like, concerns about, like, blood loss. That did happen to me, but I was fine. Just had to stay in the hospital like a day extra. But if you end up getting a C-section, it's not the worst thing in the world, and you're still a mom regardless of what anybody says. Like, you tried, and you just have your battle scar for the rest of your life. But yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, so when he came out, he was 8 pounds, 2 ounces.
So that's why we think that his head wasn't a good flip anyway.
So he was 8 pounds and 2 ounces, and he came out jaundice. Yeah.
So they didn't diagnose that until he was about 2 days old.
Yeah.
He didn't have it really severe. He had it pretty moderately, but it was enough to keep us an extra day at the hospital for monitoring.
Another day.
Yeah.
So, and besides that, she wasn't really producing a lot of milk. No, she was producing milk.
Colostrum.
It was born. She really couldn't put
he wouldn't latch.
He wouldn't latch. Yeah, that's the thing. He wouldn't latch, and it was because her nipples are inverted. Yeah. So they weren't. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if you guys are aware of what that is, or if you have small nipples, I would recommend talking to your doctor about a nipple shield, because that was the only thing that got him to latch, like, right away. That, and we had discovered that he had a tongue tie. So once they clipped that, he was ready to go. He did lose a lot of weight. How many?
Yeah, he lost 11%, and they're only supposed to lose 10%.
Yeah.
So he went from weighing
8 pounds, 2 ounces to like 6 pounds, 7 pounds,
7 pounds,
7.5, I
something.
think.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I keep thinking about, that like it bothers me every day. The fact that they knew that he wasn't latching, and he wasn't eating, and they weren't giving us the formula. Like they at that hospital, they really push you to breastfeed. They don't let you feed them formula unless it was in your plan. Yeah. Unless it was in your plan at the beginning, you let them know like, hey, I'm gonna be doing formula. Then they let you. But if you exclusively
they still push breastfeeding on you.
Yeah, but if you exclusively said that you are just breastfeeding, then that's the only thing they're gonna rely on, you know. So that's another reason why he lost a lot of weight, and it kind of like bothers me a lot, because I could have just said something and told him like, just give me the formula, so that way he didn't have to go through all that, especially since he couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like he would cry himself to sleep.
He was very hungry.
Yeah, and he was hungry, and we just couldn't do anything. Like we would try to have him latch onto her, but he couldn't because of his tongue tie, and then her nipples, and then there was no formula. They weren't giving us formula. And I even told my mom like to bring me some formula, and they don't allow you to bring outside formula.
Yeah.
So we had to go through all that for 3 days.
It got to the point where I had to express my nipples, and I was syringe feeding him, which, I mean, I'm glad he at least got that, but it's still pretty traumatizing to the baby, because, you know, that's his one source of food, and it's not producing enough for him. So I'm just thankful that he didn't starve, you know? I mean, like, I'm sure he was really hungry, but he grew perfectly fine. And don't let your doctors tell you that you're overfeeding your child. There's no such thing, because I've had doctors tell me, like, he's overweight for his age, and then I switch pediatricians, and she's like, nope, he's growing perfectly fine, even though he is growing faster and gaining more weight than, like, a majority % of his age of boys. It's fine. Just let them eat as much as they want. Don't ever short your kid of food.
Yeah, so the kids, the baby's always gonna let you know when they're done eating. Yeah. So just don't try to follow what other people tell you.
But don't force.
You know your baby. You know what he likes, what he wants. So just or she or she. Yeah. So so we had going back to the delivery or to the birth. We had to stay there for 5 days. 6 days. So it was from Tuesday, and we got discharged. Well, she got discharged on Saturday. So it was originally supposed to be on Friday, but then something happened.
They wanted to keep him for the jaundice.
Yeah.
And because of my infection, it wasn't getting any better, and I was going to have to possibly get a transfusion. I didn't end up getting the transfusion because my blood count went up, but they had me on a lot of iron pills, and a lot of Tylenol and pain meds, and that was the reason why I was able to get out when I did. Otherwise, we would have had to stay much longer. And it does get really depressing when you're a postpartum mom, being in the same room, not being able to move much, especially if you had a painful experience. It gets really depressing. So try to bring things that you know are going to entertain you and keep you busy, and just enjoy your baby as much as possible, because I know I did cry when they told me that we would not be able to go home, and all I wanted to do is just bring our son home to our bed and get out of that room. Like, I felt like I was going crazy.
Yeah, I felt that. Well, we were there from Sunday until Saturday, and we were released on Saturday at 1. And
in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, but they still had to make us an appointment for the next day, for him to get, for the baby to get checked out.
See his pediatrician. Yeah. Well, not his, but a pediatrician.
Yeah. For his jaundice and his weight. So we had to stay at my mom's house.
Yeah, because she lives in San Francisco and we don't, so it would be a bit of a drive for the baby being a newborn.
Yeah, so we just decided to stay in San Francisco for an extra day. The next day they made us an appointment, and we took him there, and they said that he was fine, that the jaundice is gonna
It was basically he was gonna poop it out.
Yeah.
And we had to get him some sun. Like I said, his levels weren't crazy high. They were at about 15.
Yeah.
And it took him about a month to a month and a half, I would say, to get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
We had to really just wait on it, let him poop and get him some sun and have him sunbathe naked, and it was scary, honestly.
Yeah, but thank God everything's fine now. He's really good. He's growing a lot.
More than he's supposed to.
Well, not really more than he's supposed to.
But
he's
that's
just
what they say.
Up there.
He's growing fast.
Yeah, not on weight, not on the weight part, but like he's tall
and he has a really big head. It's 45 centimeters round.
Yeah, so he's good now, and we're thankful for that. But whenever if someone out there is pregnant and
scared to go into labor.
Yeah, scared to go into labor. Just don't be. It's a really different experience, I would say, and just try to do a lot of research, especially if it's gonna be your first time.
And like me, like I said, I have really bad anxiety for certain situations, and I was pretty anxious about giving birth because, expect the unexpected. But once I hit reality and my water had ruptured, I said, this is it. This is one step closer to meeting our baby. And honestly, all those fears just went out the window. Even with the infections and the contractions and everything bad that happened, I didn't have any negative thoughts towards it. I enjoyed my experience, even though I was in pain. It was a good experience, and even with the C-section, I wasn't scared. I just put the worst case scenario and then the best case scenario, and then after I thought it out, I was like, okay, that's it. No more thinking. This is it. It's happening. It has to happen. Just get my baby out. That's it. So just don't be scared. Everything will be fine. We're meant to do this, and it should be fine.
Yeah, so
Oh, but another thing is, after you have your baby, and if they need to do additional tests, if you can opt for them to do it inside the room, and if they really have to take your baby into the nursery, please make sure at least one of you go with your child. That's something we left out.
Something we left out is that they actually took our baby out of the room. They took him to this other place where they do the testing. It's like the nursery.
The nursery.
They had other babies there, and so they took him it was supposed to be only 30 minutes. Tops. They took him for about an hour.
Almost 2 hours.
Oh, almost 2 hours.
But the thing is, we had asked for him to go, and they had denied a request because they said there was other babies, so they didn't want to stress them out or whatever reason. It wasn't allowed, basically. Yeah. So after a fight with the doctors and the nurses, we finally were like, okay, if it's only 30 minutes, it's fine. He'll be fine. When he was gone, a lot of things happened. You want to explain? With us and the baby. Well, for me, my heart rate started going so high. I was at 127, and I started developing a fever also, which wasn't good because it had just went away, and I was just so stressed to the point where I got a fever because they had our baby. So 30 minutes passed. We're like, okay, it's fine. Let's give him another 10-15 minutes. 45 minutes passed. We asked the nurse, what's going on, And then she didn't get us an answer until about an hour and 10 minutes passed. Then we were really getting mad, what is going on with our baby? So she called into the nursery, and the other nurse had said that his respiratory rate was increasing drastically. His heart rate was increasing drastically. They were basically, we don't know. We want to trust that they weren't doing anything, but we don't know for sure because he was getting really stressed out, and as soon as he sees his daddy, he was fine.
Yeah, so I don't know, it could have been because he didn't really eat well and he had those problems, so it could have been that, and then he was taken out of his comfort zone, and then
from his parents, he was only 2 days old.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like that's what happened. But once I got there, he was fine, and then I was able to take him back into the room, and then he
was fine. He was calm.
Calm. Yeah.
So that's why, if you can, opt.
Ask to do it in the room
in front of you.
Yeah. So it was just a little poke in the foot, in the bottom part.
Yeah, they were just trying to draw blood from his foot. Yeah. That's why we had said, well, why can't you do it here? And they kept fighting with us on it, and we finally said, okay, but 30 minutes, no longer.
Yeah, so just...
And that was kind of our fault for, trusting them, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, what can we do? They see two, parents, and they think, like, oh...
They can just walk all over us.
Yeah, so... but, yeah, if please inform yourselves and do research and do whatever you need to do to make sure your baby and your wife is safe.
So yeah, that was our labor and delivery experience. Everyone's is different, but that was ours. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Hit that bell for post notifications. We will be posting videos weekly. So please subscribe to our channel. And I think that's our little monster. Hi! He just woke up from his nap. Say hi. Subscribe. Bye.